The Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth. This is a very simple filler tier card game about Lord of the Rings, and the battle element that is in the subtitle really matters. Basically, this is a set collection game in which we will be collecting sets of cards representing the enemies that we slaughter. It is all about the fighting, it is all about the battle indeed. The game, again, is a card game that comes, however, with this board, which I can't help but thinking is a bit unnecessary, because, yes, you will have a deck of cards and 3 cards are placed in a line, there are another deck of cards and 3 cards are in a line, you have 2 discard piles. But usually we can do that without a board, but hey, if you like it and it seems more thematic to you, then you got it. So we have a deck of cards representing the villains that we're trying to kill, because this is what the game is all about, and these are the points that they are worth, and at the end of the game, the player with the most points in the scoring pile, so the most efficient killer of villains, wins the game. And what you have here, these symbols are the symbols that you need to produce to kill that villain. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle at the beginning of the game, then draw 3 cards, form a line there, and that's it for now. And then each player has a hand of cards representing different heroes, and those are the icons that that hero produces when the hero goes out there hunting for villains. And some produce a wild symbol, some have unique effects, giving a little bit of chrome there, giving a little bit of theme there. Gandalf will steal cards from other players, basically, like with aggressive recruiting. You can ask, the hobbits will allow you to ask another player for help, so you get an advantage, but then you give them that card, they put them in their scoring pile, so it is worth 1 point at the end of the game. But again, some cards have effects, but all of them have these symbols that you need to play in order to capture those villains. So this is the deck of heroes. Everybody receives a hand of cards, and then you shuffle these Mordor cards in it. So as you can see, almost half of these cards that will go in the final pile are Mordor cards. I'm not going to shuffle them in because it's annoying to remove them. I can explain the game without doing that anyways. The idea is that when you draw from this deck, you may get a hero, or almost as likely you're going to get a Mordor card. We'll see what that means. Now, during your turn, you can do one of 2 things. You can draw a card. Yay! Or you can play a card, and I'm not a big fan of games where your turn is to draw a card. Anyways, when you play a card, you play it face up in front of you. If it's the first card you play in the game, well, just it's there and that's it for now. When you play other cards, you can attach them to previous cards, and that is called adding to a fellowship, or you can play them alone. Basically, each card or group of cards will be a fellowship. So right now I have 2 fellowships of 1. If later I play Tom Bombadil, I have a fellowship of 2 and a fellowship of 1. And now I have another fellowship here, and so on and so forth. If during your turn you choose not to draw a card but to play cards, after you do that, you can also go and hunt for villains, meaning you can send a fellowship to defeat a villain if the fellowship has all of the required symbols. So, for example, here, we're missing purple. But suppose that the human warriors were with us, then I would be able to send them to capture Saruman. Then I take this one in my scoring pile. The cards that I use to capture a villain, they are removed, they go in the discard pile, and then a new villain is resolved. And again, some villains are much easier and worth a lot less than others. So, for example, the Earth Patrol is only worth 1, the Nazgul 6, the big bad guys are worth 10. And then, as we said, we got the Mordor card. So that's the basic idea. You're just playing cards in front of you, forming fellowships. From time to time, you send them to destroy a villain. But from time to time, they also do stuff. Because remember, when you draw a card, there's a significant chance that you will draw a Mordor card instead. When you draw a Mordor card, for now, it sits there. And you draw another one as a replacement. Basically, you'll keep drawing until you get a card in your hand, which also may mean that however multiple Mordor cards are played. When that is the case, they will slide down, and when there are 3 in a row, so a card has been pushed all the way to the 3rd position, this is what happens. It represents the fact that this villain is counterattacking. So first we resolve the effect of that card. Say each player must discard a card from a fellowship, and that's just, we do that if we have fellowships in front of us. By the way, knowing in advance the effect is going to be triggered, you can play around that a little bit. Maybe I don't have any fellowship cards in front of me at that point. So the card that is resolved goes to the dead cards. It is out of the game. The other 2 cards that push the Mordor card there are placed in the discard pile together with, remember, the discarded heroes. So the Mordor cards will come back also when this is reshuffled. The villain card that was associated with the Mordor card that was triggered is also removed from the game. So another fact is that if you really want the card that is there, you want to go get it before the Mordor cards remove it. But one thing is one thing, and making it there is a whole different thing. Because of course, I see that villain there that I really want. Okay, I'm going to make an effort there. It may not matter because there are multiple players that come before you, they all draw cards, and boom, that card is gone. So, but this is the game. The game is over when all of these cards have been removed from the game, either because they have been acquired by players or removed by Mordor effects. And at that point, you look at your scoring pile and you see who wins the game. So, on one hand, at first sight, it may look like a game that's so simple. Yeah, maybe there isn't enough of a game in here for adult gamers to be interested, so maybe children will be interested. But I play with my youngest, who is 10. Sure, not a little kid anymore, but my youngest really did not enjoy this game for, I guess, the same reasons why my adult friends also would enjoy them. The luck of the draw is just very intense. Yes, you can say there are things that you can do to do this and to do that, but if a 10-point villain comes out and I have and it's when it's my turn and I catch that villain and I have all the cards, so that's great. But I have to discard them so the other players get a chance. But then there may be game effects that remove things. Maybe again the next villain that is good and comes out is removed by a Mordor effect. Maybe the good fellowship of my opponent waiting for the turn is removed by a Mordor effect. There is just so much randomness, too much randomness in my opinion, in this deck and in the way the Mordor cards come out, as again, 3 of them may come out in a row, eliminate a powerful hero, eliminate a valuable villain. There's one thing, something that may balance things. A Mordor card may remove a monster from your scoring pile. So if you only capture Saruman and Shelob, then you're going to lose a valuable one. That means once players realize that they're going to capture exactly one Orc Patrol, and then always target the most valuable ones. And that seems to me the way that gives you the best chances of winning the game. But it's just very luck-based, and again, young players do not enjoy that amount of luck, I found, so I don't know that I could recommend it even for young players, although the mechanics technically are that simple. It just feels a little bit too trivial, too bland. Drawing a card for your turn is a bit anticlimactic, and then send them out and catch that one and see what happens. There is just... Again, I don't expect fillers to be super deep, but I expect them either to be super quick, and then luck is fine. Zombie Dice remains my favorite super quick luck-based filler. But this one, you're setting up the decks and you're playing for 20 minutes or so, and you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you realize that there's a lot of luck involved. As a maybe extended filler, there aren't enough decisions here to keep me interested. And as a non-filler, well, there's no reason to play this one over other things. Again, it seems a bit overproduced because the board seems unnecessary. Production-wise, these cards are good enough, maybe slightly on the thinner side, but not too much. But the art is not bad by the standards of 2022. Well, I guess maybe I've been spoiled by the standard 2022. Some of these anatomies, some of these faces are just not as compelling. Some of the art is just not as compelling as a lot of other art that you have out there. And that's my assessment. The Lord of the Rings: The Battle for Middle Earth. This really not a game that I enjoyed because it's too long for what it is and too much luck for what it is. And that's my assessment.